In 1912, the Titanic went down, taking more than 1,500 lives to the bottom of the North Atlantic. Today, 113 years later, a robotic research vehicle drops to nearly 4,000 meters, about 13,000 feet, to capture new images of the ship. Up ahead, the sensors lock onto a rarely documented section of the wreck, a place almost no one has been able to film. Before we continue this descent, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and follow every detail of this historic dive. The ROV's descent is tracked live from the research ship on the surface. Instruments read nearly 3,800 meters, the exact depth where Titanic has rested since 1912. Inside the control room, every thruster adjustment is calculated to avoid any contact with the weakened hull. Archival images from Titanic's maiden voyage appear beside the live feed, linking the past to what we're seeing now. Evidence suggests the debris field stretches hundreds of meters around the bow. The goal of this mission is to document, in maximum detail, internal areas that are still barely recorded. Titanic's bow fills the frame, almost intact inside a world of collapse. Past expeditions showed this is the most recognizable section of the ship, and it still holds details rarely captured. Rusticles, the rust-like formations, reveal non-stop bacterial activity consuming the metal since the official discovery in 1985. Archaeologists estimate that within a few decades, parts of this structure could fail completely. Every slow camera sweep is a race against time, collecting as much information as possible before deterioration accelerates. From this position, the team plans a route into interior spaces connected to the bow. Away from the main hull, the debris field reveals the human scale of the disaster. Plates, shoes, and suitcases lie scattered across the sediment, untouched since 1912. Archaeologists treat each object not as a collectible, but as physical evidence of passengers' lives. The placement of these items helps reconstruct how the ship collapsed and how the sinking unfolded. Evidence suggests many belongings fell as Titanic broke into two sections. The ROV records everything from a distance, touching nothing, following strict protocols for preserving maritime graves. From this position, the team compares the ROV's live images with Titanic's historical deck plans in real time. Digital models indicate which openings lead to collapsed corridors and which still offer usable interior space. Engineers measure the gap between the hull and the vehicle to prevent any contact with weakened metal. Structural evidence suggests parts of the ship are close to an irreversible collapse. That's why every route is simulated on screen before any maneuver on the seafloor. The objective is to reach a little documented interior area with zero contact and minimal sediment disturbance. The ROV begins its final approach to the selected opening, cutting speed to just centimeters per second. Distance sensors continuously measure the gap between hull and vehicle, reducing the risk of contact with fragile metal. Just beyond the outer edge, the cameras reveal interior spaces that have been pitch black since 1912. Visual evidence shows a partially collapsed corridor, a lowered ceiling, and debris piled along the floor. One accidental touch can stir sediment and drop visibility to near zero, so the team moves in inches, documenting every meter of the interior before pushing deeper. Farther down the corridor, the first preserved personal items begin to appear inside the ship. Among broken wood and twisted metal, shoes, bottles, and pieces of china are still recognizable. Archaeologists read the position of these objects as a direct result of cabins collapsing and upper decks giving way. In 1912, many belongings were left behind in the rush to evacuate, then shifted as the ship descended. Evidence suggests this section may have belonged to passenger circulation or lodging areas. The ROV keeps its distance, capturing details without touching anything, preserving the scene exactly as it is. As the ROV moves forward, the ship's interior layout becomes less predictable. The live images no longer match the earliest expedition photos with perfect accuracy. Gradual collapse has reshaped corridors, ceilings, and partitions, creating tight passages and compacted debris blocks. Engineers tighten proximity limits even more, slowing movement and shrinking the margin for error. Evidence suggests this zone sits near former cabin areas and internal compartments. Any route chosen here could lead to spaces never seen or to dead ends sealed shut. Ahead, the ROV camera catches a narrow slit between deformed steel plates. Distance sensors show razor-thin safety margins for any attempt to pass through. Structural models indicate openings like this often form when interior compartments collapse in a chain reaction. Still, the space beyond the slit appears to lead into a comparatively preserved interior area. The team edges closer only enough to map the contour and measure edge stability. Any sign of movement means an immediate retreat and a new route. After analyzing the slit in detail, the team authorizes one slow single pass through the gap. Calculations show only a few centimeters of clearance between the warped hull and the ROV's frame. One wrong move could trap the vehicle or shift unstable steel plates. At the same time, the images suggest the space beyond has been spared the worst of the overall collapse. Structural evidence points to a protected interior area, possibly connected to former cabins. The mission follows one rule above all: no contact, cross, record, and exit without touching anything. Ahead, the ROV camera captures something unusual at this depth. A door still attached to its frame, slightly open. Around it, the corridor shows signs of collapse, but the doorway remains almost intact. Archaeologists know structures like this can shield interior spaces from the direct violence of the sinking. The narrow gap between door and jamb reveals a dark space, possibly connected to an old stateroom. Every detail is recorded before any closer approach is attempted. If you want to see what's waiting behind this door, stay to the end of the video and share this expedition with anyone who's fascinated by Titanic. At this point, the ROV must pass the door without touching the frame or the shifted door panel. Sensors confirm the opening is wide enough, but any contact could knock loose wood fragments and rust. Based on the dimensions, specialists suspect this access leads to a stateroom or a small cluster of cabins. The door's position along the corridor matches passenger accommodation areas on mid-level decks. Before crossing, the team records multiple angles to document the structure's current condition. Only after that step is entry approved at low speed to inspect the interior space. As the camera moves through the interior, the room's layout confirms the structure of a stateroom. The fixed position of the bed, the side cabinet, and the door matches the cabin pattern used for passengers in 1912. Archaeologists use these anchor points to distinguish staterooms from service areas or passageways. Furniture still in place suggests the collapse was partially cushioned by surrounding structures. Evidence indicates this space remained protected from harsher movement during the sinking. That's why every object here has real power to connect deck plans to passenger records. With the camera stabilized, the stateroom appears whole in slow, continuous sweeps. The bed, the side cabinet, and the door look like a routine moment frozen mid-voyage. On the surface, a cup, a brush, and a rectangular object remain in place, as if left there in 1912. The relative integrity of the walls suggests the external collapse never struck this compartment head-on. Visual evidence links the furniture pattern to cabins used by intermediate passenger classes. Captured in detail, this room stops being scenery and becomes a rare, coherent set of historical data from Titanic. The details of this stateroom are analyzed frame by the surface team. Marks on the china, the brush, and the rectangular item suggest consumption habits and an income range. These elements are compared with cabin layouts, luggage records, and manufacturer catalogs from 1912. The bed size and furniture type point to a mid-level comfort tier consistent with second class. The preservation of the set suggests fewer impacts during the sinking and the later collapse. Every image increases the odds of tying this space to a specific name in historical archives. Structural readings suggest this stateroom was partially shielded by the collapse around it. Deformed exterior plates acted like a barrier, diverting direct forces into other sections of the ship. Near freezing temperatures and total darkness reduced biological activity on wood, fabric, and interior metals. Walls still standing show the compartment wasn't exposed to strong currents or major displacement. That's why lighter objects stayed close to where they were left in 1912. This kind of preservation lets us study not only the sinking, but the onboard routine in the hours before the iceberg. International organizations formally recognized Titanic as a maritime grave site. That means personal items and interior structures must be documented, not removed. The team follows protocols designed for the smallest possible impact on the site. The ROV is operated to avoid contact with furniture, walls, or belongings inside the stateroom. The footage supports historical research and digital preservation, not artifact recovery. Every meter traveled here is planned to respect the victims and the meaning of this place. With the stateroom identified, the mission shifts into systematic documentation. The ROV performs slow scans designed to generate high-precision 3D models of the interior space. Photogrammetry software combines thousands of frames to rebuild every surface digitally. These models allow experts to study the room without repeated physical intrusions. On the surface, the team watches point clouds and textures form in real time. The goal is a detailed record that specialists can analyze for years to come. With the main capture complete, only minutes remain for the last images of the stateroom. Operational protocols limit time spent in tight interior spaces like this. Now the team prioritizes wide shots and final close-ups, reducing the need for future incursions. Each new angle strengthens the model already created and reinforces the interpretation of the space as a passenger cabin. After this stage, the ROV must back out along the same route, passing the door and the narrow slit again. The stateroom returns to being observed only from a distance, part of Titanic's maritime grave. Leaving the stateroom, the ROV retraces the same corridors used on entry. The route is repeated almost exactly to reduce the risk of encountering newly unstable zones. Every maneuver is recorded, allowing comparisons between the structure's condition on the way in and the way out. Readings showed the narrow passage remains the most critical point of the entire path. Any change in plate alignment could end the possibility of future interior work here. That's why the exit must be as careful as the approach. Crossing back through the narrow passage repeats the most dangerous moment of the mission, in reverse. Proximity sensors monitor, in real time, the distance between the deformed hull and the ROV's body. Any sudden change in readings could signal plate movement or a risk of entrapment. The footage allows side-by-side comparison of the structure during entry and exit, searching for subtle shifts. Engineers consider this kind of record essential for evaluating stability in the sector. Once the ROV clears the slit, structural risk drops and the return path becomes more predictable. After crossing the most critical point, the ROV continues through corridor sections already mapped. The exit route follows the entry path, but now the focus is image comparison. Subtle differences in debris, walls, and ceilings can reveal possible structural change. As the hull openings draw closer, the risk of interior entrapment decreases. Data indicates pressure, temperature, and overall conditions remain stable in this sector. The next goal is to leave the interior and return to the external debris field. Outside again, the ROV moves along hull sections seen in earlier expeditions. From here, the ship is viewed as a structural whole, not as a series of rooms. Exterior images help tie the visited stateroom to its exact location on Titanic's deck plans. The surrounding debris field reinforces the scale of collapse after the hull ruptured. Comparing a preserved interior with a deformed exterior reveals the sinking's mechanics more clearly. From this point, the route gradually backs away from the ship toward the open seafloor of the North Atlantic. As the ROV drifts farther back, Titanic becomes a single shape on the ocean floor once again. The bow, the warped hull, and the debris field have formed a steady scene for more than a century. Today's images join decades of documentation of the disaster. Every new expedition adds detail but confirms the same reality. The ship remains in slow, ongoing collapse. The stateroom we visited is only one among hundreds of spaces that will never see the surface again. This mission exists to record, compare, and understand, without changing what rests nearly 4,000 meters below. With Titanic fading from view, the ROV begins its climb back to the surface. Operators gradually adjust buoyancy and vertical thruster power. Sensors track changes in depth, temperature, and pressure through the water column. The images stop showing recognizable structures and become only darkness and drifting particles. It's the reverse of what the ship did in 1912, now traveled under control and under constant watch. The goal is to bring the vehicle and the data safely back to the research ship above. In the last few hundred meters, pressure decreases, but operational focus stays razor sharp. The ROV must reach the research ship's hull at a controlled speed, with the umbilical under stable tension. Depth, tilt, and cable load sensors are monitored live. This part of the water column holds faint natural light, but visibility remains limited. The vehicle leaves the wreck environment behind and returns to the surface world. It's the transition between deep research and the shipboard routine that documents everything seen down below. When the ROV returns to the deck, the stateroom's existence now lives only in images and models. Down there, the room remains in darkness, exactly as it was before this mission. Today's footage becomes part of the historical memory of a ship that will never rise again. Hundreds of passengers who lived in cabins like that one remain preserved only in lists, names, and documents. "113 years later, Titanic is still split between what we've studied and what remains out of reach. the stateroom we found becomes one more silent point on the floor of the North Atlantic.